because Moon sent me a text message, and that's when I realized I don't know where my phone's at.
Cool. Oh, God.
Oh.
Okay, let's retweet this.
And then a lot of jokes were made about how we went from this is going to be a short segment to this is probably going to be the longest segment. This podcast will need to be broken up into 2 parts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, Nightbot sleeping. I was worried Nightbot wasn't.
I was confused. I thought I did it wrong again.
No, I was worried it wasn't case insensitive. I was gonna be like, am I really gonna have to make 2 more commands for
Patreon
capital
and
P
Patreon?
Patreon?
Yeah. Upper, lower.
Stupid. Okay. Are you guys ready?
Yes, sir.
We're being ready, motherfucker.
That's right. We're ready to do this. Woo!
I'm probably not going to be in the chat a lot today because I've got 2 sets of notes I need to look over, as we all do, I'm sure. Well,
yeah,
Boston, who's got 1.
Yeah. No worries. All right. Let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of That Video Game Podcast. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me as always is Moonpeer.
Howdy.
And the Nymph.
Hello.
We've already had a heck of a spicy recording here, and we haven't even started with Not E3 2022, which is this week's episode. We had talked a couple weeks ago and said, we all agreed, we should be fine. I don't think it's gonna be, nope, wrong. Incorrect. But you'll never be wrong signing up over at Patreon, patreon.com/E1M1.
The ones and numbers.
Get all the cool early access behind the scenes. We had a real short recording for the Outcast this week. Thought it was going to be 10 minutes. Had to get pulled off. It's 45 minutes. So, you want to hear
there's
it.
a really great ASMR section in there as well for all you listeners who are fans of English accents.
Oh my. What a bonus. Wow. So you can get all of that. Early access to We Rogue Like It. Early access to Critical Misses. All that good stuff. Exclusive episodes. Patreon.com/E1M1.
The ones and numbers.
If you haven't been here for one of our E3 episodes, this is how it goes.
Not E3 episodes.
Well, no one's been here for a not E3 episode. This is our first, and if the ESA has anything to do with it, it's our last not E3 episode, but sure, Jan.
That's what they thought last year, too.
Yeah. But we're going to go through all of the quote-unquote conferences, all of the live streams in chronological order. We are not covering every one of them. My notes this year are 12 pages, and they are much shorter than previous years.
It is 12.
Yeah, it's a lot. So we're going to be covering kind of the high notes. We'll be talking about every conference, but some of them we'll be scooting right through. Like the very first one we're starting off with, Dangan. This is kind of an interesting conference here. A lot of cool indie games you aren't seeing anywhere else. I would recommend people watch this one. There's some pretty neat stuff in there. Nothing super major. Nothing that kind of stuck out over the other ones. But that one's a definite interesting one to see some different neat things. Right after that was Limited Run Gaming. This was a Mega 64 joint again. Not covering this one either because, understandably, they're largely focused on, hey, here's what we're selling as Limited Run games.
Yeah. And they just opened up their new store in North Carolina, so...
They did, yeah. And they are, to be fair, they are focusing more on their... restoration and publishing efforts. So there's a lot of stuff like, hey, we took these old FMV games and now they're 60 frames in 4K because we restored them. That stuff is super cool, but you can just go watch it yourself. If you want to see 60 frames 4K, plumbers don't wear ties. That's what they got for you. Next one is Black Voices in Gaming. This is the one that I thought was really, really interesting, but they didn't cover a lot. They went into, in like the first hour or so, a lot of deep dives into the games themselves with the developers, and in some cases how the games themselves are made, like getting a bunch of really cool behind the scenes views at how these often like 1 or 2 developers are making these games. And then it's like, yeah, I'm gonna play my game for 15 minutes and I'm gonna show you a lot of cool stuff. So a lot of really cool games there. Nothing, you know, super for us to deep dive into, but another one that I would recommend checking out. One I personally didn't watch that much of is Upload VR, largely because I don't have a VR setup, and VR shows for some reason
any of us do.
No.
I got a PSVR.
Oh, there you go.
You know,
No.
the most
Still don't have a VR
minimalistic.
setup, dude.
Right.
You don't have a VR setup.
A VR 0.5.
Yeah.
The other problem with a lot of these VR showcases too is they feel like they're 4 hours long. So I'm not there for that. We'll talk about super long conferences here in a minute.
You wanna,
Yeah.
And also, it's probably worth mentioning that if Boston watched the Upload VR one, he would be vomiting after like 2 seconds. Would be my guess.
Man. Some inner ear business my entire life. Goodness. Yikes.
It's the head wobble. We made it more extreme.
Oh, God. All right, let's talk about our first big one here. Jeff Keighley returns, helming Summer Game Fest 2022.
Key 3 is one of my favorite memes going around right now.
The Key 3, yeah. So it starts off with Street Fighter 6. Capcom had shown off some of the UI and the kind of set dressing stuff a couple of days ago. So this one, they were largely focused on Guile. Also has a beard, because apparently everybody does in Street Fighter 6 in our dark future.
But I'm also pretty sure that this is confirmed after Street Fighter 3, which means Bison is dead, I think. Because Bison died at the end of 3, so this is the first Street Fighter that takes place after that.
Yeah.
I know it's definitely after 2, because I heard 2 thrown around there a lot, but I don't know anything about the Street Fighter lore besides the movie.
If you think Ace Combat has a weird lore, we should get into Street Fighter someday.
Yeah.
Dude, we got timelines and
it's
just like that Legend of Zelda book about, hey, when you get a game over in Street Fighter 1, this is what led you to Street Fighter 2 Alpha.
Yeah, exactly. So they have confirmed on the show floor as it is, that this will have crossplay this time. And they're not. Look, the roster has leaked, but they're not talking about it. So the roster that leaked is probably the roster. So
they have to hit the marketing milestones, dude.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I don't blame them. I actually really like how Street Fighter 6 looks too. I like the kind of graffiti and garage aesthetic they got going on. Looks like for a lot of stuff they've kind of pulled back on that ink effect that they've been doing, and it's only saved for kind of your super big attacks. Looks cool. Street Fighter 6.
I like that graffiti logo. Like that logo looks really cool.
Yeah.
I also really like how all of them look like they went through Gears of War training.
100%.
Like super huge.
They are all dummy thick.
Yeah.
Next up, Aliens Dark Descent. This is coming out next year. This is a isometric Aliens game that looks okay.
No, I'm sorry. No. As soon as you say isometric and aliens, it's like, get away from me.
But is it supposed to be like an XCOM kind of game, or is it just...
No, it's like a twin stick shooter.
Okay. Well, that's what I had in my notes. It's either top-down twin stick or an XCOM style. Cause the one trailer they had up that I had watched, you couldn't really tell with the gameplay.
Yeah, I think this could be cool if they get the co-op working correctly. If it's a single-player thing, I don't think that's really what you're going for. I think if you're going to do like an isometric single-player thing, you got to do something different. Like an XCOM, like something we haven't really done before. Next up is Callisto Protocol. I had mentioned in our Discord chat, hey, this feels heavy like Dead Space was, and 2 or 3 people told me, yeah, that's the Dead Space guy.
Dead Space
so he's just making another Dead Space. And they put out a, quote, a trailer with more gore, end quote, and I wrote, that might be too much gore for me. Especially the end shot where he gets sucked into something. I'm like, what? That's it for
this
me.
one, and there's one other trailer later on, part of my space horror theme, that I'm like, what is going on this year?
Yeah.
Gore 22.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, I am 100% into Callisto now. Like, after having just seen, like, reveal trailers and nothing, as soon as they started showing that gameplay trailer, I was like,
yeah, it
got
looks,
me, guys.
it looks like the same kind of, like, cool stomping around shooting thing that Dead Space did. Like, I think it looks super cool. You're right, like, everything they showed up to this point was all moody and spooky and CG, and this one's like, yeah, man, like, you're gonna be fighting some undead whatevers, you're gonna stomp them a whole bunch of times. You want to shoot off their limbs? We got that, too. It's like, yeah, cool. Great. I can do that.
2 Dead Spaces in 1 year, and I'm happy.
You're feasting. Next up, Modern Warfare 2. Yeah, maybe.
The game.
Yeah. Next up, Modern Warfare 2. The crew is back. The Alejandro, Ghost,
Captain Pierce.
These are things that apparently are not made up names or characters.
So the funny thing is, you put in your notes, the ones with the masks, ? Someone is named Ghost. Ghost is the dude with the mask.
Okay.
He's
so that's
the
Ghost.
one who made that mask famous.
Yeah, I am so out of touch with Modern Warfare. Not because I hate it or anything, but like, their presentation was good. The gameplay they showed looked like Modern Warfare. It looked like it was 4K 60 frames. Like, that's all you can ask for. They talked a bit about Warzone 2.0, which they are kind of teasing as kind of a big revitalization of Warzone, which they got
that probably translates as Warzone getting a little bit of a reboot and also more weed skins than ever.
Yeah, probably.
It wouldn't hurt if they leaned all the way into the kaiju stuff.
Yeah, that would be okay. Yeah, so I'm glad they didn't show Warzone 2.0 there, because I feel like you got to come out and show a lot of that when it comes out if you're going to talk about replacing Warzone. So, also, don't make it 175 gigs this time. Figure that out, please.
Yes, please. Please.
For the love. Next game, shockingly, Flashback 2. Yeah.
This is a funny one. Because I think I ended up watching this section of this trailer at work, and somebody turned around and said to me, "Is like, is this where you're supposed to be excited about this?" And I was like, "Well, I imagine if you knew the franchise, yes, but I don't know what it is, so I don't care."
Yeah, it's the rough part is like, it's a hard sell for this game because the first one came out 30-something years ago, so it's like Flashback 2, and nerds like me are like, oh, they're making another one. Everyone else is like, the where, the what, who now? So that looks.
The Flash had a TV show and now he has a video game.
Yeah, he's back. He's back. Flashback.
I got Prince of Persia vibes from it, like the OG Prince of Persia.
Hey, you want to know who made a lot of these games?
The OG Prince of Persia team.
Yeah, it's very much the same, where it's kind of that same trial and error 2D platforming rotoscoped sort of thing. So if you're in the market for that, there's finally another one. If you're not, don't even worry about it. You'll be fine. Next game they showed off Witchfire, which looks super cool.
Yep.
A dark fantasy first-person shooter, as they mention it. But yeah, man, you just wanted a cool fantasy gun shooting fire at some sort of demons, and it looks cool as hell. Yeah, man. Witchfire.
So stupid for this one.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the lighthouse and where's the girl?
Jeez.
Dude, I did put something kind of like that too. It was like magic and firearms. Oh, this kind of feels like a darker BioShock.
Yeah, but like good this time probably.
But spoiler alert, the BioShock like formula works. So
yeah.
More games should use it. And if they're going to set it in a Victorian time, like with witches and vampires, yeah.
Yeah, and for as much crap as Infinite gets, they are one of a few games that did the NPC follower really well.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And then they just tripped over all their racism the entire time.
Yes.
But yeah, Witchfire looks super cool. It reminds me of kind of 90s first-person shooters that was just kind of like, yeah, man, you're way stronger than the enemies are, and you're just mowing them down, and you can throw fire. How cool is that? And it's like, yes.
90s to the point that when you are turning to fire your weapon turns in the direction you're turning before your view actually starts.
Very much. Yes. Yeah. Fort Solis.
Yep.
There's nothing really here for this one, which means they gotta bring out Troy Baker on stage. Shut up, Troy Baker, forever.
There we go. Thank you.
Yeah, Troy Baker, the NFT fan and defender of his own multi-million-dollar selling games. When a journalist says, "I didn't really like that," and then proceeds to bully them on Twitter. Good job, Troy Baker. We'll see you again later. Shut up forever. Routine is the next game. All I wrote was spooky. Nothing here, really. This looks like yet another space horror title.
My note is another space horror game just after the last one.
We got a dozen
Did you
of them
copy
for
that?
you.
Because hopefully you copied that.
No.
Paste it.
And then Jeff Keighley was like, that was announced more than a decade ago. And my note was it? Like, I don't remember Routine at all.
I saw an extended trailer for this, I think, as a fed YouTube ad, like a couple of days later from the press conference. I like the look of this game a lot.
It's got a cool style.
Spoiler alert, space and horror are my jam, so I'm like 90% into all of these things so far.
Two great tastes that go great together. Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. Next up, The Rock decided to show up from his smelly gym without a shirt on, because that's just his natural environment, to hawk his energy drink and talk about being the foundation of Fortnite. Oh, and Black Adam is out in theaters too, pretty soon. Yep. He eventually got around to that.
I think someone pointed out, though, that say what you want about throwing the random movie trailer in there, but that movie trailer probably paid for half of this show.
100%. I will never complain about, as long as you're not like trying to sell cigarettes on the show, like, yeah, show a movie trailer or two, like whatever, like let's get a little bit of other stuff in here. It doesn't need to be one banger space horror video game after another.
I also didn't know that Zoa was one of his products.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I only knew about that because he did the Xbox promotion where they made the real Xbox fridge, filled it with Zoa on it.
That's right.
He promoted it.
That's right.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I also have in my notes, too, that he says, "You also know me," a lot in that little clip that he had.
He does. Yeah. Yeah. Next game is Outriders World Slayer. This comes out next week, I think. This is the first big expansion for Outriders. There's a lot of stuff exploding into bloody jibs in that thing that that still looks like Outriders, and if you're in that ecosystem, I think that thing looks super cool. But lot more guns, probably. I don't know. That looks cool. There's a sizzle reel for coming soon to Nintendo Switch, and then
it's like 3 games.
3 games in like 15 seconds, and they're like, all right, bye. It's like, okay. Really cool, fun trailer for Fall Guys. Reminder that goes free to play on June 21st on all platforms with cross-play and cross-progression.
I'm going to get stuck in that thing, aren't I?
Yeah, it's real good.
It's going to be a problem.
I fired it up.
The tower minigame, that one sucks.
Yeah. I fired that up the other day because they were like, oh, if you play a match between now and the 21st, we'll give you like a Pride outfit. I was like, yeah, man, I can go do that. And I was reminding that every season that they have put out, they've added like 6 or 7 new mini games. There's like 50 or 60 games in that thing now. Like, it is so chock full of stuff. Like,
you guys son was telling me, he's like, he didn't even remember half of this stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
He booted up for the first time in June too to get that Pride outfit as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm firing it up and I'm like, I've never played this map. This is great. So you guys starting it for the first time are going to have a ton of really good stuff to play. Next up is Stormgate. Quote from a team of legendary developers, end quote.
Quick interruption here, because I did not know who made this, and I was sitting there
I didn't either until I Googled it.
And I was watching the trailer, and watching the trailer, and watching the trailer, and then when I read your note about the who the veterans of this studio are, I was like, oh, so they still haven't learned from the previous games they developed.
Yeah, so the guy that was on stage is like the guy who was like lead designer or something. It wasn't director or anything of StarCraft 2. And it's like, as soon as I Googled that, I was like, oh, that's why there's a demon fighting a Terran. Cool. Okay. Great. You're making,
you know,
one of those.
Why I put 6-minute CGI cutscene as a trailer.
100%.
And that's why my note also says, oh, Diablo in space.
Yeah. Plus StarCraft. What if I put the two together? They did say that this is an RTS, so real-time strategy game, and they're saying it's free to play, which is interesting to put an RTS out as free to play, because I feel like that's your market is typically very small for RTS games nowadays. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do there. I don't think I saw any gameplay of this. They showed off concept art, and I don't think I've seen any gameplay this week from it, so it could be a cool thing, but there's just not enough there yet.
Yeah.
Next up is High Water. I wrote sad boating indie game, which it's a sad boating indie game.
I love your descriptions because they are exactly what I need to remind me about what the trailer was.
That's why I write down like 3 or 4 words, because there's easily over 100 games in this list, and it's like High Water. I don't remember. Oh right, it's a sad boating indie game. Yeah.
The song "The World Ended on a Sunny Day" playing the entire time.
Yep. They're coming sometime this year. That's my jam.
Me of Flame in the Flood.
Yeah, it's very much one of those indie games that, for me, it's going to be like Game of the Year or, you missed it. So I'm excited to check it out.
Oh my god, I'm looking at you, stupid UPS simulated game, Lake. I'm looking at you,
Lake, you could have been something. Next up is a game that I had not heard of before, American Arcadia. This is the kind of retro-futurism...
Truman Show gone wrong.
Yeah, Truman Show sort of thing. I think that looks like a really cool concept. I don't think
honestly, I think it's just going to be a 2D side-scrolling platformer.
That's my big concern. That's what I was just going to say is like...
the lore setup sounds cool, but it looks...
And then it turns into Limbo. Yeah, and that might be okay. Like, I think if you can continue... the story you got going on there and like ride that concept on a high level, I think that could be really cool. But that from this footage, that's kind of my concern of just like run away from the cops, level 3, run away from the studio, level 4. You know, like could be interesting.
This next one got everybody. Everybody got by this. So.
The next one is the return of a long-awaited sequel, which turns out to be Dead Island 2. My note here is, oh my god, it's real. And then I said, LOL, never mind, it's Goat Simulator 2, those F words. My next note is, LOL, never mind, it's Goat Simulator 3, those F words. They pulled one of the best twists on a trailer when there's that...
It's so good.
Looking at our Twitch chat, our Discord chat, our Not E3 2022 channel, when that first goat came out, there was like 3 or 4 of us that are like, "Wait, what?" Because like they're coming out with the Dead Island 2 trailer again. I'm like, man, you're gonna run this thing again? Like, show a new trailer, and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, I didn't catch. My note says, what the F, LOL, reading your notes, because I watched the trailer not knowing anything behind it, and I'm like, where were you guys getting Dead Island 2 from? He just said that it's on a beach.
Yep. Yeah, they're bringing out...
Have you seen the Dead Island 2 trailer? Because it's literally a shot-for-shot remake of that trailer.
Yeah. It is. It's real good. I really like the idea that they're skipping Goat Simulator 2. I think that's... I will never get sick of that. Marvel's Midnight Suns has another disappointing CG trailer, this time LOL Metallica. Enjoy your DMCA streamers.
Master of Puppets for the win / loss, depending on where you stand.
Just like, stop licensing songs that are exactly on the nose. Please.
I mean, do you think it's going full circle from like the sad Mad World remake for Gears of War? So it's like, no, we can't do things like that anymore.
We can't do sad Master of Puppets.
As possible.
Master of Puppets.
We can't do sad songs, but we can just do 1950s and 40s songs all the time playing in the background anyway, as some of these other trailers will have in them.
That's right. I'm again really bummed that Midnight Suns did not have a gameplay trailer here, and they're just slapping a bunch of Marvel characters in a trailer and be like, yeah, man, it's still a card game, but don't worry about it. So I think that game can be really cool. They're not showing enough of it off, but they are really hawking pre-sales, and it feels a little disingenuous, to be true.
Yeah. Also, the only chance you'll get to play Spider-Man on any Xbox platform.
That's true. Oh, Sony. Next up, they showed Cuphead: The Delicious Last Course, coming out June 30th. They showed off an icy level. That's Cuphead. They said they made a bunch of improvements and whatever, and it still looks like Cuphead, so I don't care. Whatever. Next up, Neon White. This is that indie game I just wrote. Steve Bloom. Steve Bloom.
Yes, this is the card-based first-person shooter roguelike, I believe.
Speedrun game, yeah.
Yes.
I have been watching Neon White for a really long time. I don't want to besmirch the hard work of a team, but every time they show off Neon White, it just looks a little off, and I don't know what it is about it. And this trailer had the same thing too, where I'm like, something doesn't seem like it's gelling. I obviously don't have hands-on with it, but
I think I know why it is with you. Because I don't understand how this didn't make you want to vomit, but the Door Kicker game later did.
Oh god, the Door Kicker game. I'm just like 10 seconds in, I'm just like. Yes, Neon White. It's such a cool idea, but I'll try it out at some point, but we'll see. Next up, Midnight Fight Express. Jeff Keighley says it's made by one father in Poland and a team. It looks like. That's a cool looking isometric beat 'em up kind of thing. That looks fairly straightforward, but it looks like it's pretty well done. So.
Hey, if you want to give me a video game based entirely around the Batman combat system, I am in.
Yeah, sold.
It said in the trailer that the co-writer of Destiny 2, Witch Queen, is doing this.
I did see that too.
Man of God of War.
Yep.
Yeah,
and then
I was like, this
40
is
original tracks from Noise Cream, whoever.
Yeah, and I'm like, you are pulling so many different things into this game. I can't help but be curious. Next up is Warframe. First look at the Divery Paradox.
I'm so far out of that loop.
Is a new expansion? Question mark? I watched this thing on Twitch, so I got a new Warframe frame, I think. I don't know, man.
Probably a Prime frame, which is actually what they're called.
So great.
Twitch Prime.
Well, there's a Prime version of the frames, depending, which are all like gold gilded and stuff.
Yeah, Boston, you think Destiny's bad? Warframe is bad.
Take a deep breath and just dive in, feet first.
It's great because every time I watch Warframe, I feel that pang of like, I'm so sorry. This is what people hear when I talk about Destiny 2, and I'm getting 100%. I'm getting it pointed to me, and I'm forever apologetic.
Someone literally responded on was talking about that announcement on Twitter. I was like, is this what it's like when I talk about Destiny 2 trying to get new players signing up? And I was like, as someone who plays both, yes.
Yeah. Next up, Honkai Star Rail from Genshin Studio. They just rebranded themselves to the Hoyoverse, which is not a much better studio name. Hey, it's a gacha game that looks real good.
Yeah.
It's that from that studio. They also showed off probably my favorite title of a video game from the show, Zenless Zone Zero. That's another Hoyoverse game. This was mostly a style trailer. It's also going to be a gacha game.
That looks though.
I really like how that one looks. Yeah. It
also,
will be
I'm not gonna lie, the White Knights, Neon Whites trailer, that just made me think someone did fan art of Bleach.
It looks cool.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I've got Hanako Star Rail that's got space trains in it, so it's like, okay, this is gonna be interesting. And then
but that was also the one where someone summoned a satellite to shoot lasers at the ground while sipping tea.
Yeah, that's great. Yep. I love gacha games. They're so good.
And that was my next note was assuming that both of these, Zenless and Star Rail, have RNG in it.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on how bad those are, will depend on whether or not I play these. Because Genshin is still a really fun game to play and really good looking game, but man, that end game RNG just. Screw that, man.
What are my percent chances? Well, I'm glad you asked. 0.000. And it's like, nope, never mind. Next game they showed off was TMNT Shredder's Revenge, announcing an absolutely bonkers-looking 6-player mode, which is
I'm out.
Wild.
No.
Yes. I have so many questions. This game looks super cool. It's WayForward. They make great games.
Is this the first time they announced Casey Jones as well?
I believe so.
Either he was just said recently, or
Yeah, this game looks super great. It looks like it's going to play great. It has all the characters that's in it. Looks like it has, I think it has couch co-op and online stuff.
Yeah,
so
it does.
As long as they don't drop the ball, I think this is a super cool looking game. I think it's, and if you want to punish yourselves, you can play it 6 players too and fight with your friends.
I do like the fact that they based it off of the late 80s cartoon, so it feels like the arcade version of the game, which makes it all the much sweeter.
And WayForward does such great stuff. I love their stuff. Next game up is a game called Super People. I just have a lot of question marks here because they showed off a CG trailer where you have a lot of superpowers in a battle royale and they're still using guns? Question mark?
That would come up again later, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, probably not. But yeah, that one, I don't know, man. Showed off Humankind. This is Sega and I don't remember what the developer's name is. They're putting out an expansion for it, and then they have a console announcement, and it's coming to Game Pass day and date. So if you're waiting to play this 4X game, which people seem to really like, it has kind of a different take on Civilization. Kind of takes that same framework and changes it up a little bit. People seem to like it.
I want to read. I want to read your notes for the next one.
One Piece Odyssey.
So Boston put in here that looks like a JRPG, which I put in my notes. That's because they called it a JRPG in the trailer.
Yeah, but I'm missing a word here. That sure looks like a JRPG. Yeah. Is what I meant to. I think it looks exactly like One Piece. I know virtually nothing about One Piece, so they're announcing all these characters, and I'm like, that's their name? That's who they...
Good news. Good news. You've only got 1,154 issues to go and read.
So
now it's 55, as we've been talking.
My notes, because I have in there, it looks like One Piece Dragon Quest.
Yep.
Next. Well, hell, do I need to start watching One Piece now?
No!
Yes. May I put you in the direction of Justin, friend of the show? Yeah. He's a One Piece super fan. Knock yourself out.
Yeah, I think if you go to make a One Piece JRPG, I think this is exactly what I would want it to look like. It looks super good. It looks just like the show and the comics, and it looks like a solid JRPG. Like I don't, as someone who isn't into the anime or anything, that looks cool.
Yeah,
2 thumbs up. Soul Hackers 2 got a pretty short little trailer just announcing the English voice cast. That still looks super cool. Nobody really cares about it. Moving on. Samsung showed off their gaming hub, combining all the streaming services on your TV. That looks cool.
It does.
I wish that was coming to my TV. Fingers crossed. Capcom showed off Capcom Arcade Stadium 2nd, which is a great title.
Yeah, it is, but those games are ridiculous. It's like you get one base free game and then it's like $30 for a pack, and they don't add anything other than the games. And don't get me wrong, obviously I'm coming at this from an achievement perspective. It's like, give me achievements per game. Give me a 6,000 game score game.
Yeah, it's a bummer because the first one was not well received, because it's like, spend a couple of bucks per game or spend $40 and get all of them, which on its surface isn't inherently bad. I just feel like it kind of missed the mark where Game Room sort of did pretty well there, sort of pricing and availability. These seem like they're they're just kind of missing the mark, especially with what the stuff like Digital Extremes does with cheat codes and being able to hop into like speedrunner runs and stuff. Like, I think a bare bones package like this is we're kind of past that. Metal Hellsinger shut off their brand new gameplay trailer. This is BPM, but with metal vocals, which is a bummer. There's a demo out now if you want to try it. The game looks metal, and it's a rhythm-based first-person shooter with metal music.
It looks pretty fun, but I will forever be BPM my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Which I suppose is kind of the point.
Well, I am somebody who likes metal, but I don't like metal vocals. So the fact that this trailer featured a lot of metal vocals has me sort of concerned about, like, is that going to be in the game, or is it just going to be instrumental like BPM was, which I felt like is a selling point for BPM.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the screaming kind of vocals.
Yeah.
Like, I did like the woman's track in it, though.
Yes, that was very cool.
I'm down with it, but the difference is when you're playing like the same level over and over again, you know, you're having a bad run or something like that, and you have to listen to the same lyrics,
and you're like,
over
yes,
and
the
over
blood
again.
of the divine.
Well,
yep,
We Rogue Like It. Boston couldn't get past the first level of BPM. He had to
I'm
listen
so
to that
bad at
over and over again.
BPM. I'm so bad at it. God. Next up is The Quarry. We talked about this last week on the show. This is Supermassive, their newest game that's out now, I believe. Yeah, that was a fun trailer. I like how their games look. That's a cool thing.
Yep.
Next up,
and I like the fact that they're leaning into the "is it a monster? Is it not a monster?" thing again.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're leaning right into that. Is it? Is it not? What's really going on?
Are the woods just spooky? And it's like, yeah, it's probably both, but yeah.
Or are you the monster?
The woods are spooky.
Yes. Next up is Nightingale. This is a third-person action survival game. They were doing a lot of work saying, like, use the cards to change the realm, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. What are these words?
All I know is I'm in.
It looks
because
cool.
You make tarot cards for Stargate.
Yeah.
Yeah. My license plate holder says I'd rather be traveling by Stargate. Like, that tells you everything that you need to know.
Yeah.
Those are facts, man.
Yeah. I think that could be a cool game. I wish the style of it looks super cool. I just wish they had shown off a little bit more than it's a third-person survival thing. Yeah. It's like, for me, I need a little bit more than that.
Yeah, what I'm assuming, based off what I saw, was basically your home biome is the forest, and then to get to other biomes for different materials, very much like Terraria and Minecraft, you have to go through the portals to the other biomes to get those kinds of materials. That makes more sense, I guess.
Which I'm also hoping too, because in the actual trailer portion, not the gameplay portion, they showed a blimp in the air, like a massive blimp, and I'm like, oh man, I hope we get to make one of those in game because
as long as this thing is not an MMO, I'm down. If
it doesn't seem like it is.
Conversation.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it is. Next up, Saints Row coming out on August 23rd of this year, apparently.
Yeah, what the hell happened to this?
Yeah, when did that happen? I don't know. If you want to create your character, Boss Factory is out now, which is their character creator, which is a very good name. They showed off
that's a reuse, because I'm pretty sure they did the Boss Factory for the 360 one.
Okay. Well, either way, it is a good name, or it's still a good name. Either one. 2 thumbs up. They did show a little bit of gameplay here. They're mostly focusing on, hey, look at all these crazy combinations you can make. Like, you can make yourself, or something crazy. So, not a ton of...
I'm not crazy.
Not a ton of like brand new gameplay, but this still looks like Saints Row, so I'm not sure how much more they need to show at the moment.
I don't know how I feel. I don't know if I want to go into this. I don't know.
Yeah, I still have no idea.
Yeah, right now I'm not even on the fence. I'm still kind of in the camp of this. Just kind of looks boring.
Yeah,
the character creator looked really in depth and really cool, but the actual gameplay and stuff is like, all right, it looks like I'm just running around shooting.
Yeah.
My question is, has Saints Row had its time? I think it has.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, this isn't the right show for it because all of these trailers are like 2 minutes or less, usually way less, which is okay. But I feel like I'm waiting for them to drop that trailer where it's like, here is one mission, and we're just going to show you the entire mission. And that's what I'm really looking forward to. But I'm sort of in your camp, Moon, where it's like, maybe I had my fun with Saints Row. Maybe I don't need to go back there right now. This one can be for the kids.
I was trying to explain to one of my colleagues at work that like Saints Row was a defining franchise for like 6 years straight.
Right, as like the anti-GTA.
Yeah, and it's like I don't know if they can. I don't know if it's had its time.
Yeah,
I just don't.
Yeah, I don't know. Next up is Warhammer 40k Darktide. This follow-up to Vermintide.
Looks like a fun co-op game.
Yeah, this looks great. I just like the first two looked great. This looks great again. Comes out in September.
They did one of my favorite level design things of all time in Vermintide 2. If they can keep that, you end up going to a wizard's like house.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get inside, it's like castle, and like then you'll like do things where you walk on the walls, and the perspective is shifted.
Get some real like wizard sanctum business.
Yes,
good stuff.
It's one of my favorite level designs in any video game ever, and it's well worth playing just to do that level.
Yeah, I hope this game doesn't get buried because there's 15 Warhammer games coming out right now, and most of them don't look like they're on the level of Darktide and Vermintide. So,
yeah, I do like them going into the 40k universe though, because there's like, get your hacker in that thing, and it's just a human skull with mechanical spider legs.
It's really good.
Plop on it. It's like, yeah, let's go. I saw a great meme which was, let's go faster than light, and it's like Star Wars. We've got hyperlight drives, and then Star Trek. We've got warp speed, and then Warhammer 40k. We go through hell because they literally open a portal through hell.
That's right. It's so good, man. Next up, a sequel to Layer of Fear is coming out called Layers of Fears. That looks like the first one.
Yeah.
So
my note says, "Hey, it's a cool-looking horror game. At least it's not in space."
That's right.
Yep.
It's a twist.
I do know who as well.
Yeah, that's right. Next up, Gotham Knights showed off a trailer about. Man, I don't know. One of the characters. The more they show off of this game, the more this game looks really rough. This did not assuage my fears at all.
I will probably pick it up and play it. But here is the thing: the Gotham Knights game is being made by the same team who did Batman Arkham Origins, so not the original team.
Sure.
And it's fine, whatever. It looks okay. I'll probably pick it up and play it because it's a Batman game, and so far they have all been above average to amazing 10 out of 10 in the first game's case.
Right.
Games. But the Suicide Squad game is being made by the core team.
And Suicide Squad game looks actually pretty good.
So I don't know anymore.
Yeah.
I'll probably take it up.
I'm torn. Yeah. All right, let's finish up the show with the Last of Us corner, unfortunately. They talk about the Last of Us multiplayer. Of course, their eyes were bigger than their stomach, and it's now a standalone game, and apparently, quote-unquote, huge. They showed off
huge in hard drive space, or huge as in...
Probably both. They showed off one piece of concept art, and they're going to show off more next year. They showed off the Last of Us TV show. I don't care.
Every game and its mother is getting a TV show or movie now all of a sudden.
I'm so over it.
Yeah.
Guess who was back on stage? Dr. NFT again. Talking about, hey, guess what? I'm in the show. Whoa. And they finish up the show, unfortunately, with The Last of Us Part 1 remake coming to PS5 and PC. Coming to PS5 this year, currently in development for PC. If you hadn't seen this leak like a day before the show happened, that was a total surprise for you. And that was the end of the show. So, what do we think? Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, they're calling it Part 1. Are they seriously splitting it up, or are they just calling it Part 1 so they don't confuse it with the second Last of Us game?
Yeah, I think they're just saying this is the first one, Part 2 is the second.
I was like, because are they going down the route of Final Fantasy VII, where it's like, we've got so much into this, we had to separate this game into 3 separate games.
God, I hope not. Last of Us 1, Part 1. Oh, no. What do we think about Summer Games Fest? Moon, why don't you lead us off?
It was
here?
A pretty solid show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it moved pretty swiftly from game to game. There wasn't a whole lot of walk and talk.
Yep.
Like, I think it did E3 better than E3 does, which is what it usually does since SGF existed 2 years ago.
Yep.
Like, it's exactly what it says on the tin. It's a festival of games that releases in the summer.
Yep. Nib?
Yeah, they had a lot of games in here that on the surface didn't seem like it would work for me at all.
Yeah.
And then after them showing it, I'm like, okay, now there's a couple games I've got added to a list now to watch. But like Moon said, I really, really appreciate that they cut down on the BS where it's like, hey, here's the trailer, here's like your elevator pitch on the game. Okay, now we're on to the next game.
Yeah, there were a couple developers on stage, and I like that they weren't very scripted, which I actually kind of enjoyed. And I like that most of them were like, "Oh, Jeff, I really appreciate the Summer Games Fest." And he's like, "Yeah, man, cool. Don't worry. Shut up. It's not about me. Whatever, man."
Like, I'm like, I guarantee he's not retweeting any hashtag T3 things because that dude seems like he doesn't want to be front and center.
No,
everybody else just wants it to be.
Also, I don't know if you guys saw on Twitter, the biggest revelation of not E3 this year is Jeff Keighley has never had a cup of coffee in his life.
Wait, what?
I find that very hard to believe, Jeff Keighley.
I need coffee to exist.
Not Jeff Keighley. He's just glowing from the inside out.
He's slamming those Zoa energy drinks the Rock gave him. He's got like a pallet of those in the driveway.
That's right.
A lifetime supply. That's what.
Yeah, man. All right, the next one that came up immediately right after was Day of the Devs.
Thank you, Boston, for pointing this out. I think you put this in last year's show.
I did.
And that was the first time I watched it, and I love this. This is probably my second favorite conference every year is the Day of the Devs one, because it's like I wouldn't hear about any of these games if it wasn't for DOOD.
Yeah, I make it a point to watch this every year, largely because number one, I like Double Fine and I like I Am 8-Bit, but also I like that Day of the Devs focuses on the devs and they let them tell their own story. So if it's kind of fun, if it's kind of cheeky, if it's super serious, they just get to tell their own story and show their own game. So we're gonna cover a lot of these. Some of these are pretty quick, but some of them are pretty cool, especially in the third one that I'm very excited is still getting developed. Time Flies is our first one. You're a fly. You have so many seconds to live. Try not to die.
I'm so into this game. Yeah. I'm so in.
That looks real cool.
It also looked like you might be able, so while you're playing, there's like a timer going on, and it looks like you might be able to change your life expectancy based on what country you select that you're currently playing in.
At the end of the trailer, it literally says your life expectancy is based on your current location.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that seemed pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Planet of Lana is the 2D side-scrolling kind of like Inside Limbo style thing where it's you and like a black cat dog creature thing.
I wrote
cute shadow monkey thing.
Yeah, cute Limbo. Yeah, that one looks pretty good. Next up, the game
Let's get to the Nightmare Factory.
I thought had been dropped because the developer hasn't talked about this for quite a while, but they showed off Choo Choo Charles, which is the terrifying train nightmare.
It's the RE2 train mod.
Yeah, this still looks so good in like the way that I want to watch my favorite streamer or YouTuber play this and just get terrified and watch this thing throw them around an island.
Patreon.com/E1M1.
That's right. You could watch your favorite streamer and YouTuber.
I'm just saying.
Play it. Yeah. I'm very happy to see that this turned from like a kind of mess around in open world thing to like, no, you need to take down Charles by upgrading your train, and he can go anywhere, but you definitely can't. And I'm like, that is genuinely a really cool idea, and I think that game looks really good.
It's a really interesting and really messed up idea.
Yeah,
like him turning around and just seeing a giant spider-like train come through the forest.
It's terrifying.
Really?
And then chasing him down like that. It was like, oh my god, man, the guy's not going to make it.
Yeah, let him get back in the train. Yeah, it looks so good. Escape Academy. We talked about this on the show before, but I like that they showed that this was a team of people that had been making like games that you'd see in Dave & Buster's and escape rooms. They're making an escape room video game because obviously that market is going through some troubles with the global pandemic. We're still under, cough, 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 everyone.
Don't cough, dude. Now you need to get tested.
That's right. So I think this still looks really cool. I like that they have leaned into this being like an escape academy in a school sort of thing. And I'm glad they showed a little bit of it and they showed a couple of the puzzles, but I'm glad that they're keeping a lot of this under wraps because I think that looks kind of like a neat thing.
Well, they had also mentioned too that apparently they're not reusing puzzles at all. So what puzzles you've seen in the trailer, it only is there for that section, and then it's just completely different puzzles, which depending on how big the game is, can be really cool and probably the biggest pain in the butt ever.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I'm really excited to see what that's going to turn out to be. That looks like a cool idea.
Yeah, they said you could do 4-player co-op if you wanted to. I believe it was.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So that seems really cool.
Yeah. Next up is A Little to the Left. This is organization puzzles with an interrupting cat. I think this looks really neat because I think it's on that surface it looks a little bit like unpacking, but I like the idea of we're presenting you with just a bunch of things and you need to figure out the pattern or the way to like orient stuff or figure out the way to kind of clean these things up without us really telling you. And I like the little bit of twist there.
It reminded me of the mobile game that we play for Game Club.
Florence?
But you don't have the name. Yes.
Yeah.
It reminded me of a little bit of that as well.
Right.
My wife said that she cannot play this game because it messes with her OCD too much.
Yeah.
And just simply watching the trailer was making her twitch a little bit.
Yeah. Next up is Bear and Breakfast, coming out on July 28th.
So, this starts the second of the reoccurring themes, which is Stardew Blank.
Yes. Nope. Yeah, this has been under development for a really long time, and I'm glad it showed up again, because I think this seems like a really fun, cool thing where you're a bear running a bed and breakfast.
Yeah. And my wife is 100% in for this game. I have it on my wish list on Steam now.
Nice. Yeah, this looks cool. Showed off Animal Well, which is kind of like a match 3 animal thing. I didn't see too much else about that other than it being a match 3, which is fine, but wasn't sure if I like missed a mechanic or something.
Someone had mentioned something about it being like a pixel art, like Metrovania type game.
Oh, I think. Okay, interesting.
Yep, I'm pretty sure this is the pixel art.
Metrovania. I'm sorry. I got that mixed up with. That's in a different one. Yes, Animal Well is a pixel art Metrovania Fez mystery puzzle thing.
Yep.
Yes, that looks really cool. This is especially one of those Day of the Dev things where it's like one quiet person is making a video game that they really love, and they're just really hoping you like it.
And this also in the video, apparently there was a puzzle in the video, and the first 10 people to figure it out get a free copy of the game before it's released.
You tell me that stuff even before your game is out, I'm going to pick up your game because I want to know all the cool puzzles in there. Naiad is the next game. This is the kind of mermaid cleaning rivers
Water
game with
nymph.
2D Abzu. There you go.
Yes, 2D Abzu, narrated by a very charming developer, who is also seems to be really pumped about his game. Next up is Roots of Pacha. Let me fire up the trailer on this one because I don't know.
This is Caveman Stardew, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes.
I put Village Stardew sim crafting game.
Yeah. This one looks. I like. Number one, I like the San Diego devs. 2 thumbs up. But I kind of like this.
This is the one I'm pretty sure that literally has the same like UI as Stardew. Like the text is the same.
Looks very
the item
similar.
boxes are the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I was like, yeah, okay, sure, I'm in. I can do with more Stardew.
I'll check that out. Yeah. Yeah, I saw a lot
Boston,
of people on.
Is this also where you were like, oh no, I loved Stardew. I denied my love for Stardew, and now I love it.
I will probably check it out. I was a little bit disappointed by a number of people on Twitter this week being like, oh, so we're just going to show off one Stardew Valley game after another? And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Do you like great video games that are like $20 and you play for 200 hours? I'll see you in your space horror game, you butt.
And also, if it doesn't appeal to you, that's fine. There's literally 6 other shows that we're covering that have several hundred titles.
Some other first-person
20
shooter.
of them didn't apply to you. Boo!
Look,
who?
It's the sort of people that spell indie incorrectly and don't watch the indie conferences anyway, so they don't.
Oh, did they spell it like the race cars?
Yeah, every time. Yeah, I'm not poo-pooing on anybody that has trouble spelling stuff, to be clear. It's just a lot of people like, I don't play indie games. Oh, I only play the triplest of AAA.
Good. They can hang out with the other guys that call them the triple I games
Barf.
that I don't want to hear about. Yeah.
And don't forget, though, that they're now someone, I can't even remember who did it, but somebody is talking about producing a quadruple A game now. So, go to hell.
Yeah. I swear to God. Anyways, next up, game Desta, The Memories Between. This showed up a couple of times in a bunch of different conferences. I kind of like how this looks. This is the Us 2 devs, the ones that made Monument Valley.
Yeah, it looks a little bit like an SRPG to my eyeballs as well. Like
yeah,
it's got that grid-based system where they're throwing the balls.
Yeah, it's a cool thing. I think I've seen it 2 or 3 times this not E3, and I maybe still don't 100% know what it's about, but I kind of like that studio's games, so I'll probably check it out. Next up is Shim. This is the hopping between shadows, bluey Shadowlands episode.
It's a cool idea.
This looks really great. Yeah,
I like how they described it as like when you were a kid making up games and hopping between the shadows. I'm like, that's actually one of the games we used to play as a kid. Yeah,
legit. Like as soon as he said that, I was like, oh crap, he's right. That's something that we.
I'd never tried to follow a train shadow before, but everything else that was stationary.
Yeah, definitely tried to follow a cat shadow.
Yeah. Shim looks pretty cool. Next up, they showed off 2 Japanese developers back to back. The first one was Fox and Frog Travelers, the Demon of Adashino Island. I didn't fully understand what this game was. Looks like kind of like an adventure game exploration thing, I think.
Yeah. The monster that's coming after you looks like from where the wild things are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It looks
and then
cool.
It eats you.
Yeah, it looks like a cool thing. I'm glad they were showing off more Japanese devs on this stuff. Next one was Goodbye World, a game about the failures and difficulties of game development. This one looks really cool. I kind of like the whole thing they got going on in this. So
you like the soul-crushing vibe that the trailer provided for you?
That's a sad trailer, man. This one and the next one, super sad. There's just sad games corner. Next one is Birth. A very cheery woman came to tell you about the game that she's making where you harvest bones and organs around town and make a new friend. She's so pumped about it, and it looks
literally one of the grimmest art styles I've seen in this entire show.
I wrote in there, it's like, it looks pretty gruesome for how cheery it was.
It's like one of those things where it's like, we know what's going on inside of you, lady developer, because you're showing it in your video game.
I was going to say, you only live in Chicago. Do you need a hug? Because
I think this looks kind of neat. It looks like you're kind of investigating people's apartments and like workplaces and stuff to try and find, a bunch of hidden codes around the place to get into their memories and things. That looks pretty neat.
I did like when she was like, yeah, investigate your area or just walk into other people's apartments. It's like, oh, we're going the JRPG route where it's like,
exactly.
oh, this is mine.
Breaking every pot, here we go.
Yep.
How to Say Goodbye is the next game. It's kind of a narrative puzzle game, as they're describing it. Kind of an isometric, sad puzzle game.
Yeah.
Did anybody... I know, I just spotted this randomly. Oh, did anybody spot the in-game marketing thing? Like, we all love in-game, like, commercial
posters and stuff. Yeah.
There's one in here that's there. It's not just a phase. Book your trip to the moon now.
Oh, boo. Oh, so good. And then they closed off the show with the just launched on Kickstarter Little Nemo and the Guardians of Slumberland, which looks... The art style is 100% on that. That looks really incredible. You go check that out on Kickstarter if you'd like right now. That was Day of the Devs. I like that one every year. I think people should watch that. I think people should stop checking out as soon as the Summer Games Fest ends, because you missed the head of Double Fine wearing 2 birthday hats at the same time. Good for him.
Yep. And then other people refusing to wear birthday hats.
And Tim Schafer just bullying them into put on the hat, man. After that was Devolver Digital's Devolver Marketing Countdown to Marketing. If you don't watch...
I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I'm a little sad because I had to, because of my time crunch, I had to skip the Devolver Digital part of this, which sucks because that's so good.
Yeah.
I got the first one because my first note is that Suda51?
Oh god. Yeah, Suda51 is a time-bending marketing robot that when they unveil the line of Mountain Dew just bought, I think it was Annapurna, and someone in the background goes, oh god, they're gonna make a drink out of Journey. It's like, oh really good. If you haven't watched any of the Devolver Digital stuff, this does continue the storyline from the other ones, as wild as that really sounds. But this one is really incredible in the best ways.
I enjoy that they seem to be really enjoying doing this.
They are having a blast making these things, and it's great.
The budget, that giant suit. The budget.
It's a real big budget, and they just put Suda51 right in there. It's real good. They showed off Cult of the Lamb again. That comes out August 11th. It's a lamb-based, cult-based roguelike. That looks pretty good.
I was gonna say this is giving me Serious Isaac vibes, if I'm completely honest.
Yeah, it's
very much
Isaac.
that same. Yeah, it's very much that same kind of genre. Next up, they showed Angerfoot, which is such a good name for this game. This is the one that immediately made me sick because it's just first person kicking everything in the world and kicking them into each other. And this game looks... If you wanted to point at a Devolver Digital published game, Angerfoot would definitely be like, yeah, that's Devolver. Sure. Annapurna isn't putting that out. That's for sure. Showed off a new trailer for Card Shark. That's out now. They followed that up with The Plucky Squire, which is probably my trailer of the show.
Looks super sharp.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the trailer for The Plucky Squire, you need to go watch that out of anything. It's a 2D book-based adventure that kind of breaks out of the book at the end. Like,
there is even in just the basic concept alone, there is so much potential in that game. Like the levels on the story, and then that thing at the end of the trailer is just like, oh no, what have you done?
Yeah. It looks like they could have broken this out into like an AR game.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah.
And lastly, they showed off Skate Story. This is coming back after quite a while. You are a demon, and yet you must skate. The style of this looks so good. Oh man, that like shimmering crystal demon thing that you are skating through one nightmare after another. Like, that looks really good. Yeah, go watch the Devolver one, at least to see Suda51 counting down a bunch of numbers in Japanese and getting upset about it.
he does it just long enough to where it makes it slightly awkward.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's just like, okay, are you going to move on from?
And then he's like,
down?
I'm over this. So good. Next up was the IGN Expo, which we're not going to be talking about because it was largely an advertisement for IGN, which is strange. You want to buy IGN merch? That was the show for you. Next up is Netflix Geeked Week, gaming.
Okay. Before we get started on this, I need to talk about how the fact that I haven't seen any of this. Because Boston gives us links to the streams and stuff. So I clicked on the link and it's like, okay, I'll do a quick pass through this. And then it loaded up the video at YouTube and says, this video has content from Netflix, and they have blocked this for copyright reasons.
Yep, video unavailable. Whoops. Thanks, Netflix. Good job.
And it's like, didn't they do it as part of the Summer Games Fest?
Hey, you know who hosted it? Jeff Keighley.
Yeah.
We're going to block that. Great. Also, half of the things they announced, TV shows. Thanks. Yep. And it's Dragon Age Absolution, Castlevania Nocturne, Tekken, Bloodline, the Cuphead Show Season 2, and a bunch of other stuff. Our TV shows are coming to Netflix Geeked Week. They announced a bunch of games from TV shows I have not watched, like Shadow and Bone Destinies, the Too Hot to Handle game, La Casa de Papel, a mobile heist game, the Queen's Gambit Chess, which is hilariously, literally just a chess game, just in with the backgrounds of the show. They showed off Lucky Luna and Desta Memories Between again. They showed off Rain 3 Kingdoms, which is just Rain again with a new skin on it. They showed off Terra Nil, which is looking really great now. Yep. If you haven't seen that in a while, that's the kind of like SimCity God game where you're restoring the environment as opposed to like building stuff on top of it. They showed off the new game by the Downwell dev, Point P. Out now. My kid and I have been playing a bunch of that. Point P is real good. If you wanted reverse downwell, where you're going up a well instead of down, Point P is real good. They showed off a bunch of other games, and then they announced that Spiritfarer is coming into Netflix later this year. The game, not a TV show. Because, God, we do not need a TV show out of Spiritfarer. It has already crushed me.
Pixar needs to make the Spiritfarer game.
Oh, God. You monster.
No. Studio Ghibli.
Oh, no.
Ghibli.
My feelings.
Have Pixar write the story and Studio Ghibli do the animation, and no one leaves that theater happy.
Yeah. Geek Week was okay. I sort of wish that they had maybe cut that whole thing in half and just showed some of the games, but I get that you are a Netflix thing, then you need to show some of your game TV shows. That's fine.
Yeah.
Next up was the Epic Games Store Summer Showcase. Ooh, I actually managed to say that. The four things they really managed to show was Lord of the Rings Return to Moria, which is a multiplayer crafting and building Lord of the Rings game. So, okay, that's coming out spring of next year. They showed a lot of things of that game, and most of it was just, the mines. It's like, I know what Lord of the Rings is. Literally everybody knows what that is.
Well, Boston, they dug too deep.
They really did. Disney Speedstorm got shown off again. That's that Disney kart racer that looks okay, actually.
Yeah, it's free to play, and I'm 100% down for it.
Yeah, it looks fun.
I was gonna say, I watched it with my kids, and they announced that they have returning tracks or something like that, and my wife was like, "Wait a minute, isn't this the only Disney kart racer game?" Yeah.
They just stole a bunch from Mario Kart, and they're just putting it in.
I was going to say Rainbow Road, the N64 version is going to be interesting.
We got Rainbow Road too. They showed off
Wario Stadium where you could hop the wall.
Yeah, exactly. They showed off Shoulders of Giants, where a frog rides a giant mech. That comes out this year. That looks pretty good. Looks like a fun little thing. I'm excited to see more of that. And then they showed off again Giga Bash, which you haven't seen for a while, a kaiju fighting game that looks like War of the Monsters from Neo Geo. So That looks pretty cool. Surprisingly, not the only kaiju game we're going to be talking about this year, which is odd. The Tribeca Games Spotlight was up next, which is a really weird combination of words that I was not expecting. They showed off a whole bunch of stuff that we've kind of seen before. Thirsty Suitors, The Cub. We'll talk about As Dusk Falls later. They showed off a little bit more of Oxenfree 2 Lost Signals, but not a ton more about that. Which
not enough to quench Boston's thirst is what.
No, I don't want to see anything, man. I want to know, is Leaf possible, and I will just play it. Don't worry about it.
I want them to release a trailer where it shows gameplay, but it's not in the game ever, and it just always leaves you looking for what was the thing that they showed then.
I'm waiting for this thing,
So you want them to pull a Marvel trailers, is what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
I want them to do what they used to do with old trailers, where there would be parts in the movie or parts in the trailers that just never made it to the movie because they edited it out.
Pull an
and then you're
MGS2.
just like, and then they're like, where is that?
Yeah. Next up is Freedom Games. This is another one we're not going to be covering because it's a lot like Day of the Devs, where it's just a great peek with the developers alongside some of the smaller games they're making. After that was Guerrilla Collective, with easily the longest conference this year. God. They showed off the one standout game that I thought was really interesting, was called I Was a Teenage Exocolonist. Really cool looking game that kind of reminds me of Griftlands for some reason. Like the kind of animation and movement sort of looks like a lot like Griftlands. So that's one to keep an eye on. Next up, and the one we're going to be talking about a little bit here, Wholesome Games Direct. Always a good time to watch Wholesome Games Direct and watch them announce 45 games in 30 minutes.
So I'm annoyed because I didn't get to see this one. This is one of the ones I didn't get to see.
Man. I love that there's even like pauses now where it's like, we just announced 7 minutes. I'm going to take a little breather, sit back, take a breath. 7 more games. Let's go.
Because this is the other one of the 3 shows which I look forward to every year.
It's really good.
Turned onto it through this show, and it's just like, it's just nice people being nice.
Yeah, just making nice games. So the highlights here that I captured: Terra Nil got shown again. Unfortunately, no release date, but they had a little bit of a different trailer here. Little Bear Chef got a teaser trailer where a cute tiny bear cooks food. Great. Yeah. Sold.
Watched this with my kids and wife, and we were talking. It's like, you had to do all this work, and at the end it shows the dish that you made. And it's like this tiny little dish with barely any food on it. It's like all that work for that.
It's really great. They showed off Coffee Talk Chapter 2, looking largely like the first one, but kind of expanded. They showed off a couple of characters returning, like the police officer, and some other characters from the first one were referenced here. Only release date there is coming soon. So
isn't this also the case where the lead dev passed away?
So he, before he passed away, he said that they were making a second one without him. I don't know if there was a falling out or if there was some contractual things. And then sadly, he did pass away very suddenly a couple months ago. So I liked the first Coffee Talk, and I'm excited to see the second one. I'm excited to see if they kind of sand off some of the rough edges and some of the issues we had with the first one. You can listen to that in Game Club. That was a Game Club episode last year, I think.
On Game Club episode, Game Club.
Yeah.
So listen to our primer.
Yeah. Yes. And last but certainly not least, Haichu, a monster game where you fight a bunch of buildings and then the monsters kiss.
Yeah, kaiju dating sim.
Yep, I love it.
Looked really
I want to play it. It looks super good. Next up is the Future of Play Direct, which is still a show that I think people should watch, and if the VTuber stuff bothers you a little bit, because it kind of leans into it a little bit too much this year, you can just sort of fast forward through that. Boyfriend Dungeon, the Secret Weapons update, was just announced, where the 2 characters that were also weapons in the base game that were like Kickstarter rewards are going to be coming into the game, plus a 3rd character designed by Ikumi Nakamura, the woman that designed the Ghostwire Tokyo and that other one. the scary one. Anyways, the other Tanker Works game.
Yes. The internet's darling.
Yes.
That E3.
Yeah, the happiest developer. She designed the third character, which turns into a whip, I believe. So that looks great. More Boyfriend Dungeon. That game is good. I will play more of that, happily. They showed off more Railbound, which is that kind of cool-looking train puzzle game where you're laying the tracks and trying to get train cars to connect in the right order. That looks like a perfect thing you want to play on your Switch while you're kind of laying in bed at the end of the day. So
there's already one of the puzzles in the trailer where my son and I were both like, wait, why did they put that track there to make it loop? Because by the time the second cart got behind the first cart, it didn't need to loop.
You're doing it wrong. Give me the Switch.
Yeah. Already telling them that a game that I haven't played and haven't developed. I'm like, no, you're playing it wrong already.
That's right. And lastly, they showed more of the Wandering Village. This is the game that we've been talking about for a while, where you're building a village on top of that big roaming monster.
Yep, still looks cool. Still
looks really cool. Unfortunately, no release date. You can wishlist it now. Please go wishlist it. It really helps out a lot of indie developers. I'm so hungry for that game to come out. I think that looks really cool. NetEase had their own conference, which turned out to be half an hour long, and they talked about one game called Once Human. Quote, a new weird survival game coming to PC. End quote. It looks fine. They went super deep into that for half an hour. And it looks okay. Last but not least, so Microsoft Bethesda is the next one. This is not the end of not E3 because there's another Microsoft and Bethesda one on the 14th. And
apparently they've just got too much stuff.
Yeah, we'll just do 2 weeks of not E3. Why not? No one's gonna stop us, right? So we'll probably talk more about it next week, which is a frightening prospect. But let's finish up this not E3 here with Microsoft and Bethesda. They started off with Redfall coming out 2023. Showed off a lot of gameplay this time. Thank goodness. Finally.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it looks like that. It looks like Left 4 Dead. Great. Sold.
Yeah.
Cool. That looks great.
I like the snarky, the cryptid historian or whatever his name is.
Cryptozoologist.
Yeah, cryptozoologist. Thank you.
Yep.
That's the one.
Yeah, you got a guy that can go invisible and he's a sniper and he has a demon eye. Yep, great. These are all the things that I would like. I liked a lot of what they showed. I'm glad they showed off plenty of gameplay this time. I think you kind of know what you're getting into with this one, but I don't think there's really anything wrong with that. Next off, they showed Silksong. It lives. There's still no release date, but it's coming to Game Pass, and it looks great. It looks so good. I keep erasing this.
There's another game for Boston.
Oh my god, I keep erasing this from my mind because I know it's not going to come out for a really long time, and someday it will just come out. Like a Nintendo Direct is going to be like, "Hey, it's Silksong. Whoops, it's out today," and I can go play it, but it's not out yet. So it's so good. Can't wait. Oh god, this next game. High on Life.
Yeah.
The Rick and Morty team.
Can we talk about the biggest swing ever in terms of games for Boston?
Yeah, the Rick and Morty team are making a game featuring everyone's favorite thing, talking guns. Great.
Literally, my note here is Stranger's Wrath if it was made by the Rick and Morty guys, which I know it is.
This looks so bad. Everybody hates talking guns in games. Literally every talking gun that has been in a video game has been the least favorite thing of those games.
I don't know. What did you think of Shadows of the Damned?
Oh, I didn't play that.
Right, that was that game, that Studio 51 game?
Yeah, that was... Yeah.
That's supposed to be good, but I don't know.
Yeah, I never
played it.
I did hear it was good, yeah. But anyways, that's the Rick and Morty team. They can't make anything good or taste good, so it doesn't really matter. Next up was a Riot Games overview, which was like, hey, here are the 5 games we have out, and we put a trailer together for some reason if you're not playing Valorant already. I don't... What? One of the most baffling trailer sizzle reels of the show. After that, a Plague Tale Requiem coming this year, Game Pass day and date. That still looks really great. Jeez. They know how to make a video game. Wow. That crazy. One of the best looking games of the show, for sure. And man, like the lip syncing work they did on that. There's some games in this show where it's like, that facial animation is still under development, it would seem. But that game looks done. That looks great. Next up, Forza Motorsport. What are you guys doing? This has to be one of the worst trailers of this entire show. What are you guys doing?
Not yet. There's one more that's way worse than this one.
Yeah, I guess we do have some more stuff to go here.
I'm looking.
I think Forza Motorsport looks really cool. I don't think you need to spend multiple minutes talking about how cool the river and the rocks look when I'm going to be screaming past them at 230 miles an hour. Like, your game looks super cool and the ray tracing looks super cool, but the deep dive into like the graphics and the foliage and stuff, you release that later for the subreddit. Like, you just show how many cool cars there are and how they crash in this one.
They heard you complaining about how they always do the cargasm every single time they talk about Forza, so they switched it.
True.
So now you get to do the grassgasm.
Oh yeah. I don't like how that sounds. Oh, I don't like that in my ears. Ooh.
I will say though, with the shadows and stuff like that, though, I am very interested to see how nighttime racing does with the ray tracing and all that. Where it's like, okay, is it really just what you have in your headlights is what you can see on the track? Because that would be really interesting.
And they did spend a lot of time talking about how time passes naturally on these courses. I think that could be potentially really cool for longer races, but like, I need you to show me some of that stuff rather than, like, your race tracing looks great. This is a maybe 720p stream that I'm watching it on right now. I'll watch the 4K trailer later on my TV, but like, let's not worry about that right now.
Yeah.
Flight Simulator 40th Anniversary was announced, coming November 2022. Helicopters, gliders, new aircraft, etc. There's also a Halo Infinite DLC available right now for free, which actually looks pretty good.
Yeah.
At least call the Pelican by its name.
Oh my god!
Thank you very much.
It's Halo. It doesn't matter.
It does matter.
Overwatch 2 is the next one. That's coming out.
About something that doesn't matter.
Yeah, like, look, Overwatch 2. They keep showing trailers on this, and other than it being 5v5s instead of 6v6. I genuinely do not know what the difference is between these two games, and it's coming out in October. Like, they cannot communicate what any of them. They announce, like, hey, here's some new heroes. Dude, I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, is it just, hey, these are running on current gen now? Is that all this is
I don't think they have a PS5 and a Series X version announced.
Well, then what the hell is this game?
That's been the big question. Everyone during the beta was like, yeah, 5v5 is fine, but 6v6 felt a little bit better. So what are we actually doing here? Why are you doing this to your player base? Yeah.
Whatever.
Next up is Aura History Untold. They say it's a turn-based game. They just showed a CG trailer going through history. I don't know. Elder Scrolls Online High Isle. I wrote, hey man, I don't know.
I'm actually surprised that I'm surprised that they brought up ESO, because it seems like one of those things that they just quietly support in the background.
Honestly, I'm not. They have to talk about it because
I mean, it's hugely popular. Like
it's secretly a power play.
Yeah, and I mean, every time they show it, I'm like, yeah, this still looks really good. I can't get into an MMO right now, especially not like smushing together Elder Scrolls with an MMO. Like, that's a dangerous combination, man.
And then it's followed up by the next game with everyone shrugging, going, who cares?
Yeah, Fallout 76 The Pit comes out in September. Like, Fallout 76 is another game that like turned it all the way around and apparently is a really fun game to play now, but it's kind of I don't think anybody is going to give it a second chance, totally understandably. And
even if you put in one of the best regarded DLCs from
and that's the thing I keep getting kind of bummed out about with Fallout 76 is they're like, we're going to Fallout 3 DLC, and it's like, I don't. From the outside, it's like, why are you kind of revisiting, yet another Fallout 3 DLC as opposed to like making your own thing in here. Bringing the pit into Fallout 76 isn't going to bring me to the game. So I'd be like, finally, they got the pit. Yeah. Great. You know, that's not what's going to make it happen. Next up, Fallout 5. Forza Horizon 5's Hot Wheels DLC was announced, coming out July 19th. That looks as good as the second one, or as good as the last one was. So I have the whatever package that comes with that, so I will be checking that out when it comes out. Vin Diesel presents Arc 2 in a CG trailer that...
A very Vin Diesel performance. He grunted.
Yeah, he grunts for a little bit, which is maybe him or maybe not. I would not be able to tell the difference.
It is.
Okay. That game is whatever. I don't know. If you're...
I hate Arc. I've hated Arc since the first one. And if you've listened to this show for a while, you've heard me explain why I hate Arc, so therefore Arc can go straight to hell.
The idea that you need to make a sequel to Arc is also still a lot.
If it's a new engine and everything, great. But at the end of the day, you charge $60 for a DLC and the game wasn't even out of early access yet. Going straight to hell.
Yeah, 100%. You can go straight to hell and Scorn, the still gross-looking Geiger now first-person shooter.
Very much so.
Umbilical cord pulling simulator.
Where's the space horror checkmark box?
Check.
Tick in that one.
Yeah, I think from a design perspective, that looks super cool. I don't think I've seen another game that looks like that. But boy, it's also gross. Man.
You know what? It reminds me a little bit of Existence.
Yeah. Wow. What a pull.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Next up, Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn. Needed to have a way better gameplay trailer than this one. This looks like a snooze from this trailer. It's like, here's a third-person shootery thing. Good luck.
I mean...
Yeah.
Because it's got the whole teleporting animal thing with the jumping through the diamonds, and it looks a bit like Assassin's Creed mixed with Dark Souls, but in the best kind of way with the creepy hands that all I'm kind of in for it. Also, it was a little bit of a questionable trailer, but I could get down with this. I think
it could turn out cool. I think it's kind of a bummer that they put out that trailer for a game that could be really neat, and I think it needed a little bit more punch.
Also, those spiders were deliciously hairy in that trailer.
Oof. Yeah, woof. Minecraft Legends was shown off for next year. They call it a new action strategy game.
So, my question here, I've got two questions.
Sure.
Number one, is it Pikmin?
Yeah, two, I don't know.
Or is it a MOBA?
I feel like they probably wouldn't do a MOBA for Minecraft because of their market.
I don't think they can't get kids into MOBAs.
I mean, they tried with Pokemon. That didn't really work.
They succeeded with Pokemon, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about this. This was a lot of Minecraft lore and not a lot of here's the thing we're making. So I don't know. I think I like the idea of them making more Minecraft stuff that isn't just kind of here's more of the building survival thing. So I'm kind of curious to see what this turns out to be, but they're not enough of an idea from the trailer.
It's just Age of Empires where you just rally people in Minecraft.
That'd be great. A Minecraft RTS. That'd be wild.
I'll take a Minecraft Pikmin. Seriously.
That would be really cool.
Hundreds of sheep following you around to do one thing and then pigs to do a different thing. Give me Minecraft Pikmin.
That'd be great. Next up was Lightyear Frontier, sort of like a farming sim with a giant mech. This comes out spring of next year. I don't know, that looks pretty cool.
I'm in on this. Yeah. I'm in on this one too. I hate how much I love these stupid survival games.
Yeah.
I mean, you like how much you're going to be watering your farm with a mech?
Yeah.
Sounds great to me. Let's do it.
Got the rotating nozzles on the edge for the tool as well. It's
yeah, man.
I'm in.
Love it. Gunfire Reborn. If you haven't seen this before, it's been in early access for 2 years or something. This is a roguelite shooter that everybody really loves. It has done very well. It's leaving early access in October, coming to consoles. The Last Case of Benedict Fox is a spooky action platformer investigation ghost thing that comes out spring of next year.
Okay, cool.
Has a cool style. I kind of like how this thing looks.
It's like a mix between Sherlock Holmes and Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah, that's probably the best way of putting it. I think that looks kind of neat, and that seems like a thing that's in my wheelhouse. So I'm gonna keep an eye on that one. As Dusk Falls, like the third or fourth time we've seen it at the show here, they did a little bit of a deeper dive. This is a motion comic decision thing. You can think of like the sort of stuff that Don't Nod makes, but with a motion comic style. Looks kind of neat. There's also a message at the end where it's like, play solo or multiplayer with up to 8 players. What?
Yep.
What's the... What? So... I don't know. That seems up my alley, but I have a lot of questions about so much of it. Naraka Blade Point coming to consoles for the first time. This is NetEase's hugely popular multiplayer hack and slash game. It's been on mobile devices for a couple of years now, I think.
Yeah, this just reminded me of Dynasty Warriors.
Yeah,
which is not a bad thing.
Yeah. Pentiment is the next game. Obsidian Games is making a medieval adventure thing that actually looks pretty cool.
My note here is, well, Obsidian are gonna Obsidian, I guess.
Yeah, we're gonna make literally whatever we want. Who's gonna stop us? Phil Spencer? No.
Apparently not.
Yeah. That looks pretty cool. Other than that other game Moon played with the medieval paintings, I don't think we've really seen any other medieval things.
Is actually what this kind of reminded me.
Yeah. So, cool. Pentiment looks neat. Grounded is leaving early access September 2022. That's a wild trailer. I've not been keeping up on the development on that.
Dude,
There's
Grounded
50 million things in there. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Speaking of spiders, by the way.
Yeah, speaking of a spider slider.
Skull. Yeah, they added skull spiders now.
It's true.
My note for this is, so finally I can really dive in September when it could leave.
That's right. Just a few short months. They showed off Arabin Shadow Legacy. I don't know what that is based on the trailer.
It seems like a stealth game.
Yeah. It makes me think of MGS.
Yeah, it has a cool style. It got some neat things there coming out next year.
Did you catch the platform bit where they were wall running through a shadow that was passing over the wall? It looked really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited to see more gameplay of that. Diablo 4 unsurprisingly showed off here. Showed off Necromancer. Gameplay captured on Series X. Which is a new announcement before it was just coming out to Xbox One. Like Diablo Immortal, which I'll talk about next week, there are more MMO and shared world features in this. So they show a whole group of people that aren't playing together fighting like a world boss, which looks fine. Yeah. Cross-play, couch co-op, cross-progression too. They just announced after the show. I don't understand any of what they're talking about the end game. They were making a big deal about it, and then they showed just a giant sphere grid, and they're like, get ready. And I'm like, what is that for?
I was actually, so everyone was making this sound like this was something that was really popular in Diablo 3, and my wife and I never got huge into the end game of that one, so I was kind of hoping to ask you guys, hey, what's this big sphere grid that they have in Diablo?
That was not in Diablo 3 at all.
Okay.
I have no idea. I'm glad that they said that they're going to be supporting Diablo 4 for a couple of years, because they're still putting out seasons for Diablo 3, so I genuinely do believe that. Still no release date. 2023 is the only release window they'll put out. That looks fine. It's a little bit grim for my tastes, but I know I'm like one of the few people that likes how Diablo 3 looks, so I will just sit over here quietly and keep to myself. Showed off Sea of Thieves. A lot of stuff about like new features and recent features, and Season 7 is coming soon, and that game is still wild.
Yeah, they're currently doing an event which is for Golden Sands, which was an event, and you can either save it or destroy it based on what the community's saying. And I'm pretty sure the polling right now is at like 51 to 49%, by the way.
Wild. Interesting.
Either way, this trailer gets my award for longest, crappiest trailer.
Yeah, it's so hard to show off Sea of Thieves in general, and I really have to give them credit. They really keep trying, and I feel like they have not cracked the formula for showing off Sea of Thieves yet. They'll get there one day. Ravenlock is the next thing they showed off. This is like a third-person action thing with switching between art styles. They're like kind of a 3D thing, and then there's some fighting some voxel enemies in there and stuff. Not a ton of info there, but it's coming out next year, so that seems like something that I could be into. Next game that I'm definitely into, Cocoon, from the gameplay designer of Limbo and Inside. Shows your character like juggling a bunch of different orbs or balls or whatever to manipulate the environment of like dimension hopping and building platforms and changing things around. Like whatever this thing is, I will definitely be trying that. Cocoon looks cool.
So I had a very big mental disconnect with this game, in that they started playing it, and I'm watching the trailer, and I'm like, this looks absolutely nothing like Jade Cocoon. What the hell? What is this? And then I'm like,
the only person that remembers Jade Cocoon. And you're like, what kind of sequel is this thing? Oh man, that's great. Team Ninja showed off Wolong Fallen Dynasty coming out early 2023. As far as I could tell, this was just like a CG hype trailer. Didn't seem to be too much.
But the biggest hype at the end, Lu Bu.
Yeah, I think Team Ninja could come out with a cool game for the first time in a while. I'm very excited to see more of that because I want to see Team Ninja come back and do the thing. We'll see if they are. Genuine surprise incoming. Persona 3 Portable, Persona 4 Golden, and Persona 5 Royal comes to Xbox and PC on Game Pass.
The biggest surprise out of all of these is that they're doing the PSP version of Persona 3, which isn't Persona necessarily bad.
That's my favorite version.
You would have thought they would have done Fez or something.
Yeah, I think Fez was so poorly received that I think either you do the original and not put the bad Fest stuff in there, or you do Portable so you can play as either gender of the main character.
Yeah.
But Persona 5 Royal is coming first in October 21st. If you play Persona 5 Royal, look up the social link you need to make to not miss the Royal stuff. It's easily missable. Don't miss it. That game is like 100 hours long. You should play it. Just go in knowing you have one objective to do before a certain date in the game.
Yeah, you can easily put 300 hours in with these 3 games.
Yeah, it's a lot of game. All 3 of them are very good. So go check it out.
Checking my achievement percentages, getting myself ready for the grind.
Dude, you are gonna kill yourself trying to get 100% on these.
The one
I was even thinking too when they had brought up Persona 4 Golden. I was like, I mean, I still have it sitting in my Vita right over here. I can just turn that thing back on.
I hope they don't bring that one trophy over from Golden, the impossible trophy. The one of hear every line from Rise.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
It's the worst. I hope they don't. I will look for you, Moon. If it happens, I will have some hot tips for you. Like, don't do that trophy, or you have to start at the beginning and craft your save for that one trophy. It's the worst.
Okay, that's fine. I've done multiple playthrough full 1Ks before. Not a problem with that. It's like,
unfortunately, the first 2. Actually, I would be interested to see what the trophy/achievement list is for the PSP Persona 3.
I would too,
since that didn't have a trophy list to it originally.
Right.
But Persona 4 came still towards the end of the era where it's like, oh, JRPG trophies are horrendous.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Next up, Kojima popped up to say that he's making a new game with Microsoft leveraging the cloud in some way. We'll tell you more later. Okay, bye. That was it.
Well, my note for here is, hey, look, it's Kojima. Because I knew it would happen, and I haven't seen it yet, but I know the second I go on social media, it's going to be a bunch of fanboys doing one argument to the other.
Exactly what it was.
Oh,
look,
he's not the
Kojima's
video
jumping
game
shit
Jesus,
from
guys.
PlayStation.
Chill.
Yeah. He wasn't good in the first place anyways.
There was like a ton of stuff about how he's like ditching PlayStation and all that. It's like, guys, he has an independent studio. He could literally just make Switch games if he wanted to.
Someone cut him a fat check and he said, "Sounds great, boss."
Yeah.
No,
Microsoft was like, you do you.
Dealed until he got the fattest check.
Yeah. And last but not least, they went into an extended look on Starfield to close out the show here. No release date announced, still coming 2023. Showed off exploration, flying, shooting with what seems to be first-person shooter's largest guns. Ship crafting, base building, planet exploration, character crafting.
It sounds like it's going to be really awesome. When it comes out, we'll see. But there was some debate in Discord about how many guns are we going to have in the game. And I'm like, what does it matter? How many ships can we have? Because what does it matter if I have guns if I can just nuke it from orbit?
Yeah, and you can. They showed us some ship combat. A lot of people talking really derisively about No Man's Sky when comparing Starfield to it. And it's a lot of people that have not played No Man's Sky, you can tell, because these two games look like they share a lot of the same DNA, and that's okay.
They do, yeah.
Yeah, I literally wrote here a more quote-unquote realistic No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
Realistic not being a good thing or a bad thing.
Sure.
Just a simple statement.
It's just another take on it.
I guarantee you will not get giant sandworms in Starfield.
Right. That's version 3.5, thank you.
That's right.
On the roadmap.
You will get that Bethesda bugginess at the launch of this, to be sure. I don't know.
The giant sandworm is just like an ore that like flies out the ground and spins in the sky.
This will be one of those things where you leave the planet of sandworms only to find the sandworms have followed you into space.
That's right. Yeah, they showed off a lot of this. Bethesda has a lot of ground to cover for me before I play another one of their open world games, and what they showed here was not really convincing, and I am apparently going to be in the very small minority of people that are not excited for this game, but I think it can turn into something really cool. This trailer was a lot of like, we're shooting a bunch of, hey look, these pirates are British in space, go shoot them. The XP bar is in the middle of the screen. Stop doing that. And you're shooting a bunch of ships in space, and go to a town and talk to people in first person, because it's a Bethesda game. Like, it looks like it has all the hallmarks, and then they had a bunch of stuff at the end where it's like, you can fully explore 1,000 planets. And it's like, don't stop. Just, people are going to be like, there's going to be something interesting on all 1,000 planets. It's like, nope.
I was going to say they
not
need
even
to
close.
Really tamp down, or else they're going to have a No Man's Sky problem.
And I feel like the rest of the trail, like the deep dive they did, I felt was pretty grounded. Like I think, other than that like 1,000 planets thing, it was a lot of like, build your character, level up your skills, pick your like origin traits, which I think was cool looking. Like, showed off one of the origin traits in the thing where it's like, you start off with like a little house in the capital city, but you have $50,000 in debt. I'm like, cool. Like, yes, that's great. That's the sort of stuff I want to see out of this stuff. But
one of the strongest things about the Bethesda games has always been the stories.
Yeah,
always been the stories. You ask anybody who's got any experience with Oblivion, and then I'll always tell you, it's the Thieves Guild missions, it's the Dark Brotherhood missions.
Yeah.
Yep.
In Skyrim, it's whatever stories or quest lines made sense to them in that thing, which I'm pretty sure in that one is the Dark Brotherhood is the best one.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always
the vampire stuff in there was pretty sweet, especially when you mix it with the Dark Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like, great, what can they do in this setting, in this thing, with this amount of, let's face it, pure money behind this thing?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, the reason they re-released Skyrim so many times is because you'd have to add up all of the totals of that like age to put it into this future date.
Right.
So what I'm hearing is that if there's a space Dark Brotherhood in this game,
Oh, I'm in.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's why they call them the pirates.
Right. I'm glad they did a deep dive, because I feel like that's the one thing they needed to come out of this not E3 showing, is like, look, you pushed it back again. You've been showing a little bit of kind of little clips here and there and stuff. Like, I think people just need to see gameplay and action and stuff. And they showed all of that, and I think it looks really solid. But I think it will be determined once all the dust settles and people get hands on Starfield and everybody says game of the year, LOL, whatever. Like once that stuff settles, and we'll see what it turns out to be at the end. Yeah. But so far, that is not E3 2022. We still have PC Gaming Show, Guerrilla Collective Part 2, and Microsoft and Bethesda Part 2 to come over the next couple days, which is still wild.
Yeah.
How are we feeling about not E3 overall? Let's go with you, Nimp, to start off with. What did you think of the show overall? Show, quote unquote.
Yeah, everything that was displayed. I really enjoyed it. I feel now that this is everyone's second time around for the most part. That everyone kind of has it figured out on what they need to do to show their games,
right,
in the best light possible. I still believe, like, that's the thing being 2 hours long. That was ridiculous. That did not need to be 2 hours long. There was a lot of boring content in there, but overall, pretty good. They had a lot of good stuff to show. And I'm interested to see what everyone does next year.
Yeah. Moon, what about you?
I liked it. And the troll moments were hilariously well done. There was no bad-spirited troll moments, I will say.
Sure, yeah.
Any jokey moments always seem to be a wink and a nod. That Goat Simulator 3 reveal will probably live in infamy as one of the best reveals ever made.
Yep.
I think, I will forget about half of these games between now and them coming out.
Yeah.
That's what I do every year, because I try and avoid the hype so I don't spend $1,000 on video games.
Right.
But it showed a lot of stuff I'm genuinely interested in. Like, my three biggest jams are survival games, so crafting kind of games, basically. It showed space horror, or just space in general.
Right.
Horror is an added bonus. And Stardew Valley games. It's like, that's
we got them all.
80% of this show, of these shows, was those three genres. And
right.
Like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
Like, you want to give me a card crafting game where I can use cards to lock the chevrons to go to the next...
to farm my space station?
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
I am down for it all. Yeah. You know, it was a lot of stuff that I'm interested in playing. The only issue is going to be the same issue that I always have, which is how much time do I actually have to play video games?
Yeah. The age-old question.
The thing that kills it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think this year's show was really good. Nip, I think you put it the best. I think people figured out, they learned their lessons from last year to try and figure out how to message all this stuff when it isn't on the show floor and you're kind of directly streaming this stuff to people. I mean, Microsoft had one of their rare not banger after banger conferences. I feel like it was a pretty uneven one, but even at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, most of those things look really great, even if they're not for me. And I thought it was a solid year. I'm a little concerned that Summer Games Fest is also going to go physical next year. On one hand, I do like that Jeff Keighley's like, all right, look, you guys are just going to keep bungling E3. I'm just going to go make my own, whatever. I can really respect that. But none of these conferences can stop being super spreader events, so I don't have a lot of confidence for that not happening next year either. But I don't know if that's necessarily Keighley's fault or anything.
No, but I mean, like, honestly, you would hear people talk about on podcasts who went to E3 about how they all got sick
I got the
coming
PAX
back
pox.
home, and that was during normal times.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how many shows this year too were Summer Games Fest shows, And it wasn't just Day of the Devs, it was also the IGN thing, it was also Netflix Geek Week, it was also all these things were like under that kind of overall umbrella. And it was cool. It was nice to see. I'm a little concerned about how many shows there are now because everybody has their own thing, which is kind of fun, but the amount of things that we will be covering and watching in the future will probably be less if Tribeca Games is going to continue having their own show out of everybody. All right, but that's not E3 2022. The ESA says E3 is going to happen in 2023, but I don't believe that for a minute, but I guess we'll see this time next year. Thank you, everyone, for listening. If you'd like to visit us, you can do so over at tvgp.tv. Everyone will find and follow us on the right-hand side of the page, including the link to the YouTube channel, which we don't promote nearly enough. Everything we record audio, we record video, even if we don't live stream it. All of that stuff is over there as well, like Critical Misses and We Work Like It, Game Club, all that stuff. You can get all that stuff early access over at patreon.com/E1M1.
The ones are numbers.
And you can support the show financially over there as well. The $5 a month tier is the recommended one. I think we're coming up here in like 2 more episodes. I think we're coming up to another exclusive production meeting for Critical Misses on the Patreon feed. That's exclusive over there for $5 patrons. That continues to be a really fun time. A real peek behind the curtain.
10-minute episodes?
Yeah, nice quick 10-minute, 1 hour and 15-minute episodes. It's a real good... We don't always kind of pull the curtain back that much, but you get to hear us talk about how the show's going, what we're doing, what we're thinking about, what we're kind of cutting from the show, stuff like that. That's all at patreon.com/E1M1.
Ones and numbers.
If you can't support us financially, totally understand. Best way to help us is by sharing the shows, telling your friends, sharing on social media, rating it 5 stars, subscribing and liking, etc. on YouTube, following us on Twitch. All of that stuff helps out a ton. Not only our show, but everything else you listen to. We sincerely appreciate it. Thank you for listening. We'll see you all next week. Bye.
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 All right, I suggest our show title be not E3 2022. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, ship it.
All right. All right, well, thank you very much, everyone, for watching and listening. We will see you all next week. I'm going to go rest my voice. Bye.
Bye. Well, look at the bright side, Boston.
I was going to say.
It wasn't 3 hours.
I know. We did pretty okay this year. Bye.